Rain poured across the city. Victoria Sinclair sat alone, outside an expensive restaurant. The company celebration had ended. The executives had gone home. For the first time in years, she felt exhausted. Not physically, emotionally. The loneliness
okay?
she had ignored for
Let me help you.
years suddenly felt heavy. She ordered another drink, then another by the time she left the restaurant. Her judgment was clouded. She never saw the thief approach. A sudden shove, a hand grabbing her handbag, footsteps running away. She fell hard against the pavement. The crowd stared, nobody helped. Then Ethan Carter appeared. He rushed forward immediately. "Lily, stay close." The little girl nodded. Victoria tried standing, but nearly collapsed again. Ethan caught her before she hit the ground. "Easy." She looked embarrassed. "I am fine." "You are not." His voice was calm, not judgmental, just concerned. Victoria noticed his old clothes, his worn boots, the lunchbox held together with tape. She was not used to being helped by someone like him. "My phone was stolen." Ethan frowned. "Can you remember anyone's number?" Victoria hesitated. No. Her entire life existed inside her phone. Ethan sighed. "Come on, I will get you home." Victoria looked at the rusty pickup truck parked nearby. She almost refused, then thunder shook the sky. She climbed inside. Lily smiled from the back seat. "Hello." Victoria forced a smile. "Hello." The drive felt strangely peaceful. For the first time in years, nobody cared that she was a chief executive officer. To Ethan, she was simply someone who needed help. When they reached her mansion, Victoria reached for her purse, then remembered it was gone. "I cannot pay you." Ethan laughed softly. "I did not help you for money." "Oh." The answer stunned her before she could respond. Ethan and Lily drove away. Victoria stood beneath the mansion lights, watching the old truck disappear. Something about that man stayed in her thoughts. The morning, Victoria told her mother about the incident. Margaret listened carefully. "What was his name?" "Ethan Carter." The cup slipped from Margaret's hand. Victoria stared. "Mother." Margaret looked pale. "Did you say Ethan Carter?" "Yes." Margaret sat down slowly. Tears appeared in her eyes. Victoria had not seen her mother cry in years. 3 years earlier, Margaret had been involved in a serious highway accident. A truck had overturned. People watched from a distance. Nobody approached because they feared an explosion. One man ran into the wreckage. One man pulled Margaret to safety. When he disappeared before anyone learned his name. Weeks later, investigators eventually discovered who he was. Ethan Carter, the same man, the same hero. Margaret whispered, "I never got the chance to thank him." Victoria sat silently, her chest tightened. The humble construction worker, who helped her last night, had already saved her mother years earlier. Without hesitation, without reward, Margaret looked directly at her daughter. Find him. A week later, Victoria located Ethan. Moments later, Ethan appeared. His surprise was obvious. "Miss Sinclair." Victoria handed him an envelope. "A reward for helping my mother and helping me." Ethan immediately pushed it back. "No." Victoria blinked. "No, I did what anyone should do." Most people did not. Ethan remained firm. "I cannot accept it." For the first time in years, Victoria met someone completely immune to money. She felt strangely frustrated and strangely impressed. Lily tugged Ethan's sleeve. "Dad, invite her inside." Ethan hesitated. Victoria smiled. "I would like that inside." She discovered a simple life. Small kitchen, second-hand furniture, family photographs everywhere. One picture showed Ethan beside a woman, holding a newborn baby. Victoria realized it was Lily's mother. Ethan noticed her gaze. "My wife passed away 6 years ago." Room fell silent. Victoria suddenly understood the sadness hidden behind his calm eyes. That evening she stayed longer than expected. When she finally left, Lily hugged her. The gesture caught Victoria completely off guard. She drove home, feeling emotions she could not explain. Margaret began encouraging Victoria to visit more often. At first, she resisted. Then she found excuses, dropping off groceries, bringing books for Lily. delivering homemade meals from her mother. Weeks turned into months. Victoria slowly became part of their lives. One Saturday, she arrived to find Ethan repairing a broken fence. She rolled up her sleeves. "I can help," Ethan laughed. "You. What does that mean?" "It means chief executive officers usually do not repair fences." Victoria grabbed a hammer. "Watch me." Half an hour later, she accidentally hit her thumb. The hammer flew into the grass. Lily laughed so hard she nearly fell over. Soon all three were laughing together. Victoria realized something surprising. She had not laughed like this in years. As the seasons changed, Victoria became closer to Lily. She attended school events, helped with homework, cooked dinner, read bedtime stories one night. Lily asked a question, "Why do you visit us so much?" Victoria froze. The little girl stared innocently. Finally, Victoria answered, "Bose never used 51 BC85CA2F68081 BFA7D91973934, but neither denied it." Despite growing feelings, Ethan remained distant, not cold, just cautious. Victoria eventually confronted him. "Hen, why do you keep pulling away?" Ethan looked away. "You belong in a different world." "That is not an answer. It is the truth." Victoria stepped closer. "No, the truth is you are afraid." His jaw tightened. "You are wealthy, powerful, successful, and I am a construction worker." Victoria stared at him, then quietly asked, "When I fell on the street, did you ask how much money I had?" "No." "When you saved my mother, did you ask who she was?" "No." "Then, why are you judging yourself based on things that never mattered to me?" Ethan had no answer. Just as their relationship deepened, trouble arrived. Damian Rhodes launched a hostile attack against Sinclair Technologies. False rumors spread through the media. Investors panicked. Stock values dropped. Victoria worked day and night, trying to save the company. The stress became overwhelming. One evening she arrived at Ethan's house exhausted. Without speaking, she sat on the porch. Ethan joined her. Minutes passed in silence. Then Victoria quietly broke down. Years of pressure, years of loneliness, years of carrying everything alone. Ethan simply placed an arm around her shoulders. Nothing more, nothing less. For the first time, she allowed herself to cry. The crisis worsened. Damien secretly arranged for confidential company information to be stolen. Evidence was manipulated. Victoria was framed. The board considered removing her. As chief executive officer, news channels attacked her reputation daily. The woman, who once controlled everything, suddenly stood on the edge of losing it all. Then, Ethan discovered something unexpected. While working at a construction site, he overheard conversations involving Damien's associates. Details did not make sense. He began paying attention. Slowly, he uncovered evidence proving the sabotage. The information could save Victoria, but exposing it would place him directly against dangerous people. He never hesitated. One night, Ethan was attacked while gathering evidence. 3 men cornered him in an empty parking area. They demanded he stop investigating. He refused. The beating was brutal. When Victoria received the call from the hospital, fear consumed her. She rushed there immediately. Seeing Ethan injured shattered something inside her. She sat beside his bed all night. When he finally woke, the first thing he saw was her tearful face. "You stayed." Victoria laughed through tears. Of course I stayed." Ethan reached for her hand. Neither let go. The evidence Ethan collected exposed everything. Damien's crimes became public. Investigators launched immediate action. The board reinstated Victoria. Her reputation was restored. The company survived. Damien lost everything. Justice finally prevailed. Yet victory felt secondary because during the crisis, Victoria had realized something far more important. She loved Ethan, not because he saved her company, not because he saved her mother, not because he saved her. She loved him because he remained kind. In a world that rewarded cruelty, weeks later Victoria visited Ethan's house. Lily was spending the night with friends. For the first time, they were completely alone. Victoria stood nervously in the living room. The powerful chief executive officer, who negotiated billion-dollar contracts, suddenly struggled to form a sentence. Ethan smiled. Something on your mind. She took a deep breath, yes. Another deep breath, then another. Finally, she laughed. This is ridiculous. What is? I can face boardrooms full of executives, and I cannot tell one construction worker how I feel. Ethan's eyes softened. Victoria stepped forward. I love you. The words hung in the air, simple, honest, real. For a moment, Ethan said nothing. Then he gently touched her cheek. I love you too. Victoria closed her eyes. Years of loneliness disappeared in a single moment. Months later, Ethan stood nervously before a small crowd. Family, friends, co-workers, neighbors. Margaret sat proudly in the front row. Lily practically vibrated with excitement. Victoria walked toward him, wearing a simple, elegant dress, no extravagant display, no excessive luxury, just love. When she reached him, tears filled Ethan's eyes. The woman who once seemed unreachable now stood beside him, not above him. Beside him, the ceremony was beautiful. The vows were sincere, the smiles were genuine. But the most emotional moment came afterward. Lily stepped between them. Victoria knelt down. The little girl wrapped her arms around her. Can I call you Mom? Victoria immediately burst into tears. So many years I dreamed of hearing that. Lily smiled, then Mom. It is the crowd wiped away tears. Even Ethan struggled to hold back emotion. Because in that moment, they were no longer three separate people. They were a family. Epilogue. 1 year later, life looked very different. Ethan managed community projects through a charitable foundation. Victoria created. Lily flourished in school. Margaret spent weekends spoiling her granddaughter. Aunt Dacked. Victoria discovered something success had never given hers: peace. One evening, the family sat together on the porch, watching the sunset, the same porch where countless conversations had changed their lives. Lily leaned against Victoria. Victoria leaned against Ethan. The world felt quiet, comfortable, complete. Victoria glanced at Ethan. Do you ever regret helping a stranger in the rain? Ethan smiled, not for a second. She laughed softly. Good. Because that single act of kindness had transformed everything. A lonely chief executive officer found love. A single father found a partner. A little girl found a mother. And 3 hearts found a home. Sometimes, the greatest rewards do not come from wealth or power. Sometimes they begin with a simple choice: to help someone when nobody else will, and that choice can change a life forever.